Hello everyone, my name is Kyle and welcome back to TSW Warriors. Today I'm going to be talking about all of the costs involved with getting cold atmospheric plasma treatment for TSW here in Thailand. But before we get into that, I want to please ask you to like and subscribe so that you can become a part of this community and stay up to date on all of the latest information regarding TSW and CAP therapy. If you get some value from this video, and you would like to support me as I get this information out to the world while getting treated here in Thailand, then I would please ask you to consider donating to my GoFundMe. All the links are down below. Now let's get started. So if you are watching this video, then you are probably already considering getting CAP therapy to treat your topical steroid withdrawal. But unfortunately, at this point in time, there are only 3 countries in the world that have clinics that specifically utilize this technology to treat TSW. These countries are the UK, Singapore, and Thailand. And if you are lucky enough to already live in one of these countries, then you can go ahead and get in contact with these clinics so that you can set up your consultation and start your treatment as soon as possible. For those of us who are not so geographically fortunate, then you would need to relocate to one of these countries for a minimum of 4 to 6 months in order to receive this treatment. Now, this is by no means a small expense, and I'm sure you are wondering about the affordability of it. Personally, I chose Thailand because it is the most affordable clinic and the cost of living here is generally low. So let's talk about the finances involved with relocating to Thailand for treatment. I will break down all the expenses involved so that you can start planning your trip in order to get your life back from TSW. Let's start out with the treatment costs, as this is likely going to be your biggest expense. You will need to be treated once a week, and for every 30 minutes that you receive the CAP treatment, you are charged 2,000 baht or about $60 US. Now, your total treatment time will vary depending on how much of your body is affected by TSW and the severity of your condition. For myself, I need to have the full body treatment, which takes about 2 hours and costs roughly $230 US. Now, on top of that cost, you are going to need to buy the CJ serum, which helps rejuvenate the skin and extends the life of new skin cells after each session. These bottles cost 3,300 baht, or about $95 US. And since they are a little bit small, they may only last you 1 week between treatments. So for the treatment and the serum, I pay roughly $330 per week, or about $1,320 per month. Now, keep in mind that this treatment cost can get lower over time as your skin improves and you need less serum, but in general, this is about how much you should be budgeting when you are planning your trip. Your next biggest expense is going to be your accommodations. In my next video, I will be explaining in detail how to find the right accommodations during your stay, but for now, I would highly recommend that you find an Airbnb as opposed to staying in a hotel. When searching on Airbnb, if you set the dates for a 1-month stay, then it will show you the monthly rates, which are a pretty significant discount over the standard rates. For myself, I stay outside of the city of Bangkok, about a 10-minute ride away from the clinic, and I pay $385 per month for my condo. It's nice, but nothing fancy, just a single bedroom, living room, kitchenette, and a bathroom. Now, you could probably save some more money if you are willing to sacrifice things like air conditioning or your own kitchen, but I would highly suggest that you find a place where you will be comfortable during your recovery. Now, obviously, you could spend more on your accommodations. That all really depends on what your budget is. But here are a few things to keep in mind. If you want to stay closer to the Bangkok city center, then the rent in those areas are generally going to be higher, as well as the cost of living. And if you are here for the long haul, 6 months or more, then I would highly suggest that you try to save as much as you can on your accommodations so that you can put that money towards your treatment. Now onto food and other weekly expenses. Again, this will largely be dependent on your budget and your lifestyle. For myself, I am trying to save every penny that I can, so I will walk you through it from that point of view. Now, luckily, things in Thailand are relatively cheap, at least coming from an American perspective. And if you like Thai food, then you're in luck, because not only is there plenty of it here, but it is also very affordable, generally about $2 to $3 per meal. Chain restaurants and Western food are generally going to be more expensive, and you can expect to pay between $5 to $20 per meal. Now, if you are not yet feeling well enough to go out, then you can use a very handy app called Grab, where you can order food delivered to your condo for as low as $5, including the delivery fee. For me, personally, I like to cook most of my meals, and I will spend anywhere from $45 to $60 a week on my groceries. Now let's talk about daily expenses. I try to limit myself to spend under $6 a day, and that money usually goes pretty far. So every day I'll go to a cafe to sit down and drink coffee while I work on some personal projects. Coffee is never more than $2, but if you would prefer something like Starbucks, then you can expect to pay Starbucks prices. When I head home in the evenings, I'll usually stop by the night markets so that I can pick up some fresh fruit, maybe a coconut smoothie, and sometimes when I'm feeling lazy, I'll pick up some grilled chicken if I don't feel like cooking. All of this for under $3. Now, obviously, other expenses will come up, such as needing things like toilet paper or something from the pharmacy, so you'll have to account for that as well. Transportation around the area is very affordable. A 20-minute taxi ride will only cost you about $5, and if you want to take the Bangkok train system, you can expect to pay about $1.50 for a one-way ticket. Now, when it comes to leisure activities and doing some sightseeing as a tourist, you will probably have to wait on doing any of these things until you are more healed from your TSW. I try to limit myself to going out maybe once or twice a month, and when I do, I try not to spend over $30 US. So for food, transportation, and leisure activities, you'll be looking at between $350 to $550 on the high end. Again, much of this largely depends on your lifestyle and your budget, but thankfully Thailand is a very affordable country to live in compared to many other places in the world. So let's say that you need to stay for 6 months of treatment. For me, my total expenses, including the treatment costs, are about $2,000. So over a 6-month period, I will be paying roughly $12,000. Now, I want to emphasize that this is a conservative estimate for what you might expect to pay on the low end. For me personally, I'm trying to save all that I can so that I can afford to stay here longer. But your budget might allow for more leniency. I believe that you could do it very comfortably for $2,500 a month or about $15,000 for 6 months. So with those numbers in mind, let's talk about flights and visas. Depending on where you're flying from, a ticket to Thailand could cost anywhere from a couple $100s to a few $1,000s. You're going to have to look this up on your own so that you will know how much you need to budget for. Personally, I had to buy my ticket at the very last minute and it cost $1,400. In the beginning, you will only need a one-way ticket to Thailand, and then you can purchase a ticket home once you get closer to completing your treatment. Next is the visa process, and I will be going more into depth on this in my next video about how to plan your trip. For now, here are the basics, but please keep in mind that some of these things might not apply to you depending on what country you're from. When you arrive in Thailand without a visa, you are given 30 to 45 days with the option to extend for an additional 30 days if you go to the immigration office and pay 1,900 baht or $55 US. You will only be given the option to extend once per entry, and then after that time period is up, you will need to do what's called a visa run. A visa run is a very common process here in Thailand where you travel over the border and then travel back in order to reset your visa. You are allowed to do this up to 6 times per year by flying through one of the airports or up to twice per year by traveling through one of the land borders. Just keep in mind that although traveling to the land borders is generally cheaper, I have heard that it can be a very long and uncomfortable process. So round-trip flights could be anywhere from $90 to $120, and then once you arrive in one of these neighboring countries, you will likely need to pay a visa application fee of about $35 to $40. So over a 6-month period, you will need to do 3 visa extensions and 2 visa runs, which will total you about $500. But keep in mind that you might need to stay longer than 6 months for treatment, so you should also account for that as well. But I urge you to please take this process seriously because if you overstay your visa, you will be fined and there is the potential that you could be banned from re-entering Thailand, which is obviously problematic if you are in the middle of your treatment. So for everything in total, for flights, food, accommodations, and treatment, you are looking to spend between $15,000 to $20,000 US over a 6-month period of time. Now, obviously, that is not a small number, and I'm sure most of you are wondering, how am I going to be able to afford all this? If you're lucky, then you might already have enough saved to cover everything. Or you work a remote job that would allow you to relocate and still make income while you are being treated. But if neither of those things are an option, then I would highly recommend that you start a GoFundMe in order to crowdfund your treatment costs. Be honest with your family and friends and tell them what you've been going through. I'm sure that they all love you and care about you and want to see you do well and will be more than willing to help you get your life back from TSW. I understand that none of this is easy, and for many of you it might even be impossible. Some of us have responsibilities such as taking care of a family that we simply can't break away from, and I commend you for doing so despite living with TSW. This will require sacrifices, both monetary and time-wise, but for those of us with TSW, we really don't have many other options. Yeah, you might be able to get a prescription like Dupixent, but even that's $3,500 a month without insurance. Plus, it comes with its own set of negative side effects. And if you are bedridden and unable to work, how much longer can you afford to wait around to heal? I've been there. I know what it's like, and I've had to make my own sacrifices in order to make this happen. Before I came to Thailand, I had lost everything to TSW. I was in constant pain and I was unable to work. I would just lay in bed all day as a shell of my former self and wait for TSW to end. But it got to a point where I couldn't stand to watch another day of my life pass me by and let TSW control me for years to come. So I took action. I made it happen. And it was a gamble, and it took a big leap of faith. But it has paid off 100 times over, and I'm now finally on track to getting my life back. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. Once again, if you could please like and subscribe, I will be posting content about TSW and CAP treatment here in Thailand very soon. Also, if you could please consider making a donation to my GoFundMe page, any and all donations make a huge difference and they would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. I'll be seeing you again very soon.